Temperatures drop, bringing a rain-snow mix. I'm timing out the hour-by-hour impact on tomorrow morning's commute.
A community coming together, honoring the life of a student gunned down near his high school, how they're showing support. Plus, we press school leaders on what's being done to keep kids in school and away from crime. New data sheds a light on Baltimore's education failures.
We have to expect more from our city.
Our team digging deep into the numbers on how many city schools are falling short.
You have violated the trust of this chamber and the people of Baltimore.
Frustration running high during a city council hearing on Mayor Scott's pick for city administrator. What led up to the tense moments and what it means for the city. Pushback over a proposal to expand public transportation between the city and county. How one lawmaker is fighting to let voters decide.
Communities, I believe, deserve a voice.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala.
I'm Kai Jackson. The new Maryland state report card is out showing the Baltimore City public school system is the lowest rated in the state.
Every school is given a rating from 1 to 5 stars, with 5 being the best. Baltimore City had 29 schools with a 1-star rating. The next lowest rated is the Baltimore County school system, with just 5 schools rated 1 star.
Now, the report card comes days after a 6th Baltimore City public school system student is killed. And
tonight, Fox 45 News is demanding answers.
We have team coverage tonight of the dire situation in some Baltimore City public schools, starting with Jeff Abel, and a closer look at the newly released numbers. Jeff?
Well, you know, state educators graded every school in the state, looking at things like academics, absenteeism, and graduation rates. And the report card in Baltimore City is one few parents would be willing to sign. For the parents of many city school children, this report card is difficult to digest.
It's quite alarming. You know, we should have some type of urgency around fixing this issue.
You know, we have to expect more from our city.
The latest report card comes from Maryland's Department of Education, who graded every school district in the state. And Baltimore City had more low-rated schools than any other district in the state. The report card showed the city had 1 5-star school, the highest rating possible. But it also showed that the Baltimore City schools had 29 1-star schools, the lowest possible grade. When the last report card was released 3 years ago, Baltimore City had 12 1-star schools.
We're saying that we're getting worse in these areas.
Quite frankly, the district is not doing a very good job of educating students.
After reviewing the report card, school CEO Sonia Santelises issued a statement saying, while the immediate results are not surprising, we strongly believe that we have strategies that over time will lead to enhanced student achievement.
For even the CEO of city schools to say it's not surprising that this has happened is quite alarming.
In Baltimore County, the report card delivered more bad news. While there were 21 county schools which had achieved 5-star status, for the first time, 5 county schools had dropped to 1-star status. On the last report card, there were 0 1-star schools. In a statement from County Superintendent Darrell Williams, he wrote, "We have taken immediate and strategic steps to address learning gaps and have re-energized our efforts to narrow achievement gaps across the district." But for many parents, the time and money aimed at school reform has run out.
I think that there is way too much money being dumped into the public school system when they're not giving the results that kids deserve to have.
I think the time has passed for time. Right now, I think, you know, parents should be really outraged and saying, hey, we need to make some changes.
Well, in Baltimore City, the only 5-star school that graded 5 stars was the Baltimore School for the Arts. We're live tonight. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Jeff, thank you. This is the latest troubling report on the Baltimore City public school system. This week, Project Baltimore revealed graduation rates in Baltimore City have hit a 9-year low. Last month, the Project Baltimore report showed 23 schools where 0 students of those tested are proficient in math. That's 2,000 students who took the state math tests at these schools, and not one did math at grade level. At that time, Fox 45 News heard from some parents who told us they don't have confidence in City School CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises.
I have no confidence in Dr. Santalisa because where is she?
We have a CEO who is in charge of these schools and as well as the school board, and I know complaints have been sent to them and they need to hold themselves accountable.
She needs to go.
Yes. Project Baltimore has done extensive reporting into the failures within city schools. You can find their reports on our website, foxbaltimore.com/Project Baltimore.
Meanwhile, Fox 45 News demanding answers from city school leaders after 16-year-old Isaiah Carter is shot and killed in a park while he was supposed to be in school. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor spoke with those mourning the loss of this young life and pressed school leaders on how they will prevent the tragedy from happening again.
Welcome to Forno.
It's been tough.
The workplace of Isaiah Carter now working together to rally around his loved ones.
Ariane, I love you. Don't take it personal.
Everyone wants to help because we care about the family.
A portion of today's dinner rush is being donated to Isaiah's family, some of whom worked alongside him at the restaurant.
Being around him and his dad and his cousin all at once.
The restaurant's owner, Ricky Johnson, describing the Carter family as good, hardworking people with an incredibly close bond.
I know it was special.
It's not the only event held for Isaiah this week.
And continue, Lord, to watch over our neighborhood. There's hard issues, and we have a hard time talking about it. But it's time to start talking about it.
On Tuesday, the community organizing a vigil to honor his memory and mourn his loss. Many of those in attendance calling for a change inside city schools.
They're out of touch.
The same calls can be heard just outside of Isaiah's high school.
Definitely could have been prevented.
David Waters lives just a few blocks from Patterson. He says he catches students leaving campus during school hours.
Pretty much every day.
And today was no different.
Excuse me, are you a student at Patterson?
Yes, he is.
Are you leaving in the middle of the day?
Yeah.
With the problems at Patterson showing no signs of slowing down, the community is demanding more eyes be kept on our children.
It's more police presence. That'll stop the violence.
They say they have cameras. Well, they need to have people at the doors, and they need to have old school attendance.
When Fox 45 questioned Baltimore City Schools about procedures in place for keeping kids in the classroom, they claimed they do have cameras on campus, but admitted they're not pointed at the school's exit points. The school system sending a statement to Fox 45 that reads in part, quote, "A group of students leaving campus before dismissal does not necessarily indicate wrongdoing. The actions of each individual student must be considered, which students are excused and which may not, before appropriate action is taken." Fox 45 also asking what action will be taken to prevent students from leaving school early, but that question went ignored.
I think they're aware of it. I think they don't have the resources to address it.
Back at the restaurant, for now, the focus is just on healing.
We're mourning Isaiah's loss, as shocking and tragic as it is, and we're also hurting so much for his family right now.
Guys, has anyone checked the GoFundMe page?
Rebecca Pryor.
We're at 47. Yay!
Fox 45 News.
Our Project Baltimore team looked at the most recent suspension data for Patterson High School. During the 2021 through 2022 school year, there were 160 total out-of-school suspensions or expulsions at the school. The majority, 102, were for attacks, threats, or fighting. 26 were for disrespect or causing disruptions. 22 were for dangerous substances, 6 for weapons, 2 for sex offenses, and 1 for arson or explosives.
And you'll remember a similar situation earlier this year. 16-year-old Deontay Dorsey gunned down in a parking lot of the Edmondson Village Shopping Center just blocks from his school during the school day. Well, we want to know what you think. Does there need to be a change in leadership in the Baltimore City public school system? So far, 100% of voters say yes. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote. Click on the Pulse tab to weigh in.
Next weather maker is moving at us. Right now, the HT radar is quiet, but you do see as we put on the alerts and the advisories, a winter weather advisory as close as Garrett County, Maryland, all the way up into Pennsylvania. We could even see a little bit of wintry weather as well. Look at all the rain and snow with this thing as it moves eastbound. Now, the overnight planner takes us down into the mid to upper 30s. That's going to be a key player in the forecast. Notice by 10 a.m. early tomorrow morning, 40% chance of rain and maybe some snow moving in as well. I'm going to let you know if it's going to mean any white and ice on the roadways in my Weather Authority forecast.
Jonathan, thank you. And stay with our Fox 45 News team. Our team of meteorologists will track our next weather maker throughout the night. Tune in to Fox 45 Morning News starting at 4:30. Justin Chambers will tell you what you need to know before you head out the door.
We overwhelmingly voted in favor of a city administrator. And tonight, that office remains vacant because we have failed our constitutional duty to the citizens in the charter of this city. I am pissed off and I'm tired.
Emotions running high during a city council committee hearing today on Mayor Brandon Scott's pick for city administrator. The majority of the committee voted to not confirm Faith Leach, who has been the acting city administrator since January. Council members grilled Leach on her role in city government and why the position is necessary within City Hall, although voters voted for it. Councilman James Torrance walked out of the chamber during the vote. He and Councilwoman Odette Ramos were the only ones to vote to confirm Leach. They say the vote is not valid because Councilman Costello participated and voted virtually.
They change the rules when it suits them. I will personally be exploring whether or not we can get it back, okay? Because it is completely unfair to leave the city without the leadership of CAO Leach. I think she's highly well qualified to make this happen.
In my committee, we've had countless votes where people voted virtually, and this is no different. In addition to that, the majority of members present also voted against the nomination.
Well, Fox 45 News reached out to the mayor's office for comment on tonight's vote. We have not heard back.
That hearing wasn't the only one that the committee held today. They also heard news about the mayor's new Clean Core program. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has been investigating that program. She has new information about how your tax dollars are being spent.
In some Baltimore communities, trash is as common as the cats in the empty lots filled with illegal dumpings.
Ooh, I can't even describe it, but it's just unbelievable.
To help,
thank you all for being here.
Mayor Brandon Scott unveiled the Clean Core program, putting nearly $15 million of the American Rescue Plan funds into the hands of 6 nonprofits, all to pick up trash. The program under the microscope Thursday night inside City Hall.
We will be having multiple hearings on this topic, and so this will just be the first of those series of hearings.
The council hearing led by Councilman Isaac Yitzi-Schleifer, who has long said the money should be going to the Department of Public Works.
There's specific concrete items and problems that can be solved with that money.
Vice President of the Council, Sharon Green Middleton, praising Park Heights Renaissance, one of the groups participating in Clean Core and getting nearly $675,000.
I want to give a shout out to Park Heights Renaissance.
Filling many of the chamber's seats, workers from the Lazarus Right, another Clean Core nonprofit getting $1.3 million.
Lazarus Right Clean Core?
Tavon Wilson works for Lazarus Right. When asked if he's on the clock for the hearing,
yes, ma'am.
Adding he came to City Hall
for support. I don't want to lose the job. I need a job.
That fact sparking more questions from the councilman.
Some of these employees are being paid to attend city council hearings. This is not a political position to be an employee of Clean Core. Why one of the organizations decided to bring in, I think, 30 people for hours on the clock is mind-boggling.
Good afternoon.
Fox 45 News questioned Mayor Scott about the money and the program.
For DPW Director Jason Mitchell, do you believe that some $15 million would have been better spent given to you?
Well, the question, I'll answer that question, right? DPW has the funding that they need. This is a both and. What I would expect from you, Mackenzie, is a story about how DPW is having recruitment classes over and over, and we need more people to be a part of that so that you guys can be a part of the solution to the problem.
The city says Clean Core will help with recruiting for DPW, an agency struggling to hire, pick up weekly recycling, and function smoothly. Clean Core is run through the Department of Planning, and leaders within that agency said the nonprofits complete the cleanup work first, then submit receipts to the city for reimbursement. But Schleifer says the answers provided Thursday night were not enough to get his support.
They first had pitched it as this was going to be a crew that went around and got rid of the illegal dumping, got rid of the big dumping. What we heard today and what we've been seeing from the past week is that this is large groups of people who are being paid to go ahead and do regular community cleanups.
Councilman Schleifer says he will call for another Clean Core hearing to get more information about how these nonprofits were chosen and how the program itself will work. It's just unclear when those hearings will take place. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Coming up next on Fox 45 News at 10, a Baltimore City councilman sounds the alarm over open-air drug markets. What happened when we brought those concerns directly to the police commissioner? The state Senate approves a bill that would take some authority away from Maryland state's attorneys. What it would change and why Republicans say they're frustrated. And right after the break, a Baltimore City murder trial will not move forward after the key witness was found dead. We're taking a closer look at the case, and we hear from the victim's family. A Baltimore family devastated after the key witness in their loved one's murder is found dead.
The city state's attorney's office said it will not move forward with the accused killer's murder trial, and now the defendant is a free man.
Alexa Ashwell spoke with those close to the victim's family and questioned police and prosecutors about this case.
What's also concerning to loved ones of this victim, they say the witness, who was found dead just 1 week before she was scheduled to testify in this murder trial, told them she had been threatened to not appear in court. The Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office says they can't comment on specifics when asked, but confirmed prosecutors could not move forward in this trial without the witness. It's been 9 months since 56-year-old Bernard Jackson was shot and killed in a neighborhood in southwest Baltimore. Last week, his family was preparing for his accused killer, Clifton Hodges' murder trial, only to learn the key witness had been found dead the week prior, and Hodges was now a free man.
Like his brother told me the other day, it's like him being murdered all over again, you know. The murder was one thing, you know, we've been dealing with that. But now to see this person walk the streets is just as bad.
According to court documents, back in June 2022, the witness told police Hodges fatally shot Jackson outside of a home where the two men had had an earlier confrontation over a woman. The female witness detailing Jackson had left his cell phone at the location, and she rode with him to retrieve it. Records show Hodges denied the shooting and said Jackson fired at him. Hodges was arrested and charged with murder. Fast forward to now, family says this witness, who was scheduled to testify against Hodges in his murder trial March 1st, had been found dead February 23rd.
We were just told that she was found in her house in her living room on the floor.
Family friend Darren Matthews interviewing on behalf of the family, telling Fox 45 News this witness told him she had received a threat a couple of months after the murder.
She just said that she received a threatening phone call, not to show up for any type of court hearings.
Fox 45 News reached out to police and prosecutors about this and the case. A BPD spokesperson said the department currently did not have an open homicide or death investigation under the name we provided. As for the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office, a spokesperson says they can't discuss any specifics, but confirmed the office was not moving forward with the trial, writing, "Once our office learned that the essential witness in this case had unfortunately passed away, a thorough reevaluation of the existing evidence was conducted. It was determined that we could not proceed to trial in the absence of this witness. This outcome is understandably devastating for the victim's family, who were kept informed of these developments as they unfolded." And later, the prosecutor and BPD detective on this case are in communication on potential next steps. Records show Hodges has now been released from the Department of Corrections. Jackson's family left devastated and frustrated.
I just want them to revisit this case and, find justice for the family and for the citizens of Baltimore. Not just for this case, but do your job and prosecute those who need to be prosecuted.
I reached out to the medical examiner's office and requested this witness's cause and manner of death. I'm still waiting to hear back. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Do you believe that the funding should be kept in the budget?
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 10:30, we're demanding answers about the Boost program, where Mayor Brandon Scott stands on the scholarship fund the governor is looking to cut.
The Twitter Files journalist testifying before Congress. One says he's never covered a story so chilling. I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington.
And the next weather maker moving in with the potential of some rain and even some snow as we hit the morning commute tomorrow. Our future scan timing it out with some of the blue being the snow and some of the green being the rain. I'm going to let you know where it's most likely. You could have some wet and ugly travel problems tomorrow. It's all coming up in my Weather Authority forecast hour by hour.
Congressional Republicans are digging into the so-called Twitter files on Capitol Hill. They continue to claim the federal government is being weaponized.
National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has the story.
Would you please stand and raise your right hand?
On Thursday, journalists Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger sharing the spotlight on Capitol Hill, testifying to their work on what's been dubbed the Twitter files.
This is by far the most serious thing that I've ever looked at, and it's certainly the most grave story that I've ever worked on personally.
Their work, a deep dive into the nature of the relationship between big tech, government agencies, and the mainstream media, and coordinated efforts that resulted in the censorship of Americans who disagreed with those in power.
I've never worked on an issue where so frequently while doing it, I just had chills go up my spine because of what I was seeing happening.
Tweet by tweet, Taibbi, Schellenberger, and a handful of others sharing documents highlighting a range of concerns, from the White House pushing Twitter to quiet medical experts like Harvard epidemiologist Dr. Martin Kulldorff, who disagreed with their pandemic policies, to the FBI urging suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story ahead of the 2020 presidential election.
When we read things like flagged by DHS or please see attached report from the FBI for potential misinformation, this would be attached to an Excel spreadsheet with a long list of names whose accounts were often suspended shortly after.
Democrats on the subcommittee attempting to discredit the journalists.
Is it true that you have profited since you were the recipient of the Twitter files? You've made money.
Labeling them as right-wing pawns.
Cherry-picked, out-of-context emails and screenshots designed to promote his chosen narrative, Elon Musk's chosen narrative.
Both pushing back on the accusations.
The people affected include Trump supporters, but also left-leaning sites like Consortium and Truth Out.
You got any, pro-Trump bumper stickers on your car?
I voted for Biden.
Additional hearings on the alleged weaponization of the federal government expected to be held in the coming months. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Well, that brings us to our national question of the day. What are your biggest concerns after reading the Twitter files, if you have? Censorship, government overreach, trusting what you read on social media, or no concern? Use the QR code on your screen to weigh in right now.
A state delegate opposes a plan to create a new light rail between Baltimore City and Baltimore County. Why he's calling it a horrible idea and the plan he's proposing in its place.
Plus, Fox 45 News questions the Baltimore Police Commissioner about open-air drug markets. His response to a councilman's claims that officers aren't enforcing the law.
We're following three big stories at 10:30 tonight.
One Baltimore City Councilman calling on police to do more about open-air drug markets. We hear his concerns and the response from Police Commissioner Michael Harrison.
The debate over funding the Boost program continues in Annapolis. Fox 45 News questions Mayor Brandon Scott on his position on the scholarship fund.
A state delegate speaking out against a proposal to expand public transportation between Baltimore City and Baltimore County.
We begin there. Republican delegate Nino Mangione is calling the proposal of a light rail downtown in the middle of York Road a, quote, horrible idea.
Fox 45's Maxine Stryker has a look at the legislation he's proposing in response to the project.
Delegate Nino Mangione's proposed legislation would put projects like this on the ballot, leaving it up to voters to decide.
Light rail stations from Falls Road to Demonia Fairgrounds are closed.
The proposal to expand public transportation between Baltimore City and Baltimore County has been the subject of much debate. The north-south corridor from the Maryland Transit Authority offers 7 alternatives to expand transit between Baltimore and the Towson-Lutherville area. There's the possibility of bus, light rail, or heavy rail transit, most using the busy York Road corridor. Opponents in Lutherville have posted these Save Suburbia signs in their yards.
The development proposals, the transportation proposals that would try to make this area more urban is not something that we really signed on for when we bought our houses.
But advocates tell Fox 45 the Baltimore region is in need of something just like this.
Making our regional public transportation network faster and more reliable will make Baltimore County and the whole region a better place to live.
Now a new voice is expressing concern.
It will completely disrupt the integrity of the community and the neighborhoods, and it would disrupt the commerce of the local businesses. It changes the character of this region in a manner that citizens do not want.
State Delegate Nino Mangione is calling the proposal a horrible idea with no redeeming value. He's even introduced a bill that would require any transportation project, such as this, that costs over a certain amount be submitted to referendum, giving voters the chance to weigh in at the ballot box.
We will leave this up to the people, and the people will decide.
Public feedback was solicited last year for this project, but Mangione says it's not enough when it comes to such a large proposal, and people deserve more of a voice.
Communities, I believe, deserve a voice in any major public transit project that's really going to disrupt their community. And public meetings are obviously important, but they're not enough, a significant indication of citizen opinion.
Now, the state will eventually need to secure funding and decide which option is the best option here, but all of that could take upwards of 3 years to figure out. In Towson, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Well, the Maryland Senate passed a bill today that would take the authority to bring criminal charges against police officers and officer-involved deaths away from states' attorneys and give it to the state attorney general. The bill passed 27-20. It expands a police reform package passed 2 years ago. Supporters say the bill takes political influence out of prosecution and prevents conflicts of interest.
The IID and the attorney general have proven that they can be impartial. They are extremely transparent. I'm confident that this is the right way to go.
Meanwhile, critics argue the bill ignores the will of the people who voted for their city-state's attorneys to do this job. They also say the attorney general doesn't have the expertise to deal with criminal cases. They say lawmakers' focus should be elsewhere.
The attorney general of Maryland almost engages in no prosecutions. His job primarily is to advise the agencies, to represent the state in civil litigation.
I find it to be pretty frustrating that we've been waiting for 2/3 of the legislative session to have bills out here on the floor that will actually go after people committing crimes, violent crimes, and make sure that we've got our laws to a place where people who repeatedly harm others get serious jail time. But we have a bill like this one and others that I'm seeing here that are focused on all the wrong things.
Well, Senator Reedy alluding to several crime bills currently in committee, including the Violent Firearms Offender Act. That bill still in committee with a little more than a week until crossover day. Meanwhile, Senate Bill 290 now goes to the House.
Lawmakers are debating whether to keep the $10 million scholarship program or move forward with Governor Wes Moore's proposed cuts. Boost, as it's known, provides scholarships for low-income families to move students out of struggling schools and into non-public classrooms. Senate President Bill Ferguson says he thinks the state has enough money to fund Boost. This afternoon, Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost pressed Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott on his stance.
Do you believe that the funding should be kept in the budget? I know Governor Moore is proposing to cut $2 of the $10 million program. You said that educational options are important.
They are.
Do you believe that the Boost program should stay fully funded?
I think that I'll say what I said this morning, right? We have to make sure that, and I know this governor will do that, to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to make sure that parents in Baltimore, and of course I'm talking solely about the city of Baltimore, have the options that they want. When you're talking about education funding, we cannot put one against the other.
So will you lobby to make sure that that funding
Well, my
stays?
lobbying first is going to be about how we can get the funding for Baltimore City Public Schools that we need and deserve, and everything else comes second to that.
Using new powers, lawmakers can restore the funding in the governor's proposed budget if enough support is there. You can make your voice heard. Scan the QR code you see on your screen to contact your local state delegates and senators. That will take you to our website where we've listed phone numbers and email addresses.
It is a familiar problem in Baltimore City open-air drug markets. Despite a promise from City State's Attorney Ivan Bates to prosecute low-level drug crimes, many in the community say that's not happening yet because police are watching drug deals happen in front of them and not doing anything about them. Fox 45's Vincent Hill spoke with one city councilman who says it's time for BPD to enforce the law.
Yeah, Councilman Zeke Cohen says when he drives around Baltimore, what he sees is troubling, and he expects more from those who protect and serve.
From Mondamin
too much open air drug market. We got to get that down.
To Pennsylvania Avenue.
I feel like they know that they got drugs and guns out here. They're not really doing nothing. They just sitting here, just let it happen.
Baltimore residents say despite a promise from City State's Attorney Ivan Bates that police could go after low-level drug dealers, not enough is being done to stop it right under their nose. Councilman Zeke Cohen shares that concern.
And we know that it is polluting and harming our communities. I want to see officers out of their cars engaging with folks.
Commissioner Michael Harrison giving his take on why that's not always happening at a public safety hearing on Wednesday.
We give those instructions to engage, to be out of the cars. Does everybody follow that every single time? No, that's something we always have to work on and double down in our supervision to check.
According to Baltimore police, only 240 arrests or citations have been issued for simple drug possession this year.
With that many people in the city of Baltimore and that number of arrests for simple possession, it does seem, for me, kind of low.
Law enforcement analyst Melissa Pinkleton says that number of arrests should be much higher to fight other crimes.
Simple possession is the gateway crime to further crimes. There's always drugs and guns together. It's kind of like peanut butter and jelly, except drugs and guns.
Pinkleton says those guns lead to non-fatal shootings and homicides, usually from disputes over street corners.
There's no way that you're going to deter the bigger drug activity if you're not squashing down on the smaller drug activity.
Meanwhile, Councilman Cohen says it's time to get away from the excuse of Marilyn Mosby saying, quote, it's off the table, and it's time for the police department to deliver public safety to the people they serve. In Baltimore, Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Well, Councilman Zeke Cohen isn't the only council member to raise concern about open-air drug markets. In the past few months, we've heard from Councilman Eric Costello and Yitzi Schleifer. Both of them have said that they believe the drug markets are dangerous and drive violent crime.
It's one of the largest open-air drug markets in the state of Maryland, if not the largest, at Pennsylvania Avenue and Lawrence Street. Myself and other elected leaders have raised the alarm about that. And we will continue to ask BPD to put the necessary resources in place.
You need to prosecute these lower level crimes because it always escalates. You know, you go from minor possession, selling, distribution, leads to shootings, leads to homicide.
Fox 45 News has done extensive reporting on open-air drug markets in Baltimore City. You can find all of our stories on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
Mayor Brandon Scott and the Department of Public Works Director Jason Mitchell are announcing a new program to mentor Baltimore-based small businesses to help them compete for utility contracts. The DPW Unbundling Initiative, as it's known, will help those businesses move from subcontractor positions to general contractors.
It is my hope and my expectation that this unbundling initiative will help at least 10 Baltimore-based small and minority women-owned business enterprises, create at least 5 Baltimore-based general contractors, and afford them the opportunity to bid on $10 million annually, if not much more, contracts for us here in the city of Baltimore.
The initiative will provide on-the-job training to Baltimore-based small and minority-owned businesses and create contract opportunities for them once they're trained.
Baltimore County business and government leaders gathered at the Gordon Center today as the JCC of Greater Baltimore unveiled major renovations to the facility. The Performing Arts Center has just completed renovations on a new lobby and other improvements to the facility.
It really wasn't about new carpeting and paint. It was about trying to create an elevated experience for our community. Arts creates an opportunity for people to feel connected, to be inspired, and maybe when they're here at the Gordon, a little break from life's trials and tribulations.
The renovations will allow the center to better host performances both indoor and out and open up more opportunities for youth arts and virtual cultural programming for adults.
Taking a look right now at the Fox box on the top left, Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he has no plans to visit Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told CNN he invited McCarthy to see the situation firsthand. McCarthy says while he does support Ukraine, he does not support a blank check.
Top right, 2024 presidential candidate Nikki Haley suggesting the retirement age be changed. She didn't offer an alternative age, though. She's also calling for limits on Social Security and Medicare benefits for wealthier Americans.
On the bottom left, President Joe Biden is outlining his budget proposal, including a 25% minimum tax on billionaires and raising the corporate tax rate. The president claims his proposal will reduce the deficit by $3 trillion over 10 years.
Bottom right, the House voted today to overturn the Biden administration's protections for waterways across the U.S. The president says he would veto the plan if it reaches his desk.
Be the first to know about news, breaking news, by signing up for News on the Go. Go to foxbaltimore.com and click on Mobile Alert Sign Up under the Station tab. You can also download the Fox 45 app for your smartphone. Search for WBFF in your app store.
A convicted bank robber steals again. Now he is on the run. The efforts to track him down in tonight's Maryland's Most Wanted.
And it looks like temperatures going to be settling down into the 30s overnight, but it looks like by the morning, temperatures start rising back well above freezing. But rain and some snow could be in our forecast, too, for tomorrow. I'll let you know if any of it's going to stick. My Weather Authority forecast.